Welcome, everybody. Our first post-game show of the season. Wish it could have been on better terms. I know you feel the same way, Gary, but it is what it is. We both thought we were going to get a win. Everybody thought we were going to win. I struggled to find anyone in the media really that said Northwestern was going to win, so I don't feel too bad. But having a day of sleep to reflect on this, a night of sleep, how do you feel about the game?
Honestly, man, about the same. Like, we'll get into the onside kick situation, I'm sure, and Scott Frost needs to be fired, or other people need to be in, different quarterbacks, different positions, blah, 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 blah. Bottom line is, man, you had two 11-point leads, and I don't think they scored 12 points off of that onside kick. Doesn't make it a good call at all. People are going to hear what they want and twist it into that or whatnot, but you still got to play football, man, and it all starts and ends with the foundation of your lines, and both lines just got embarrassed, I thought.
Stats,
especially down the stretch.
Did the stats speak to you at all? Anything in the stats? I know we broke down in our video the running game, but do you feel like the stats lie? I hear a lot of people talking about stats don't lie, but it's like they are misleading sometimes, man.
Stats lie in the sense that you don't see situations. It's just blanket numbers, right? So, like, take Grant's 46-yard run. Like, that 100, what was it? I can't see that, man. 101 yards, 100 something.
Yeah, he ended up with 101.
Yeah, and he had almost half of that on one play, which is great. If the line held up, did its job, I mean, we saw he broke some tackles and made some guys miss. A lot of that was his effort to make it happen, which is fine. You're going to have that, and that's going to happen, but that's not an accurate description of how the ball was ran. You know what I mean? That was one play that really inflated that stat line. And then when you go into the situations of, closing out the game or even at the end of the game, yes, the onside kick was not the best call in the world, or a horrible call, depending on what side you stand on, whatever. But they still gave up a touchdown. If they give up a field goal, or they're right on the edge and they go for it on fourth down because it's going to be too short to punt, but a long field goal and they get it. Now, to me, then you can argue more, well, that would have been a punt, or there wouldn't have been a field goal, would have been out of the question. They shoved the ball down their throats and scored. If anything, it just left more time. You know what I mean? They did it quicker. It's not like, I don't know. And it's not like that was the end of the game when we're up by 3 and that sealed it or something else. I mean, we still had the lead. There was still opportunities, and they just couldn't get it done. But like, those things aren't going to show up in the stat line.
So just want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. What's going on, JV? We got Blaine in the house. I think it's Nino. Is that how you're spelling it? A 9-1 Doe 1998. What's going on? He says it was neat to see IGC come out as our top receiver. Hope we see more of that. He looked great. I mean, tough kid, great jump ball. We got to have somebody to go get those jump balls. Do you think that's going to be his role?
Maybe. I mean, he doesn't look like he's. Yeah, he don't look like he's built like that, but he looks like he's got the mindset. Kind of like Torrey. Remember last year when Torrey came out of nowhere and all of a sudden it was like this new kid that showed up, didn't have all this hype or expectation, and then just went out and grinded, just outworked a lot of people and took himself to the top. Didn't really wait, to have anything happen for him. He made some things happen. That's what he reminded me a lot of yesterday.
Let's see here. Yeah, Blaine's saying he thinks IGC and Trey Palmer are a top duo. Definitely. Why was Lure out there? No offense. I just feel like, don't we have other options? Was that a Dakotas Crawford moment that we might have seen him, but instead we got to see Lure? Do you think Frost just really likes Lure that much that he's like, get my guy out there? Or maybe Whipple likes him?
I think the receiving stuff is Mickey Joseph's decision-making. I mean, he's talked where he was trying to get it to 6 guys. I don't know, man. I don't really know that specific why they would do that. I mean, it seemed like later as the game went on, they were just kind of trying different things because you started seeing different types of packages as far as which 2 or 3 guys were out there. But, I mean, I don't have a clue why specifically the guys they did.
So we've got a few people in here now. Let's get into the punt. Sorry, the onside kick.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it. Our video that we did last night, we didn't go into great detail because we wanted to do it in a longer form. If we would have made that video last night, I would still be editing it right now. Like Gary would still be talking. So I felt like let's briefly go over the game in a video and then let's talk about it longer and let's get some questions from people. Nintendo is how you say it, Gary. You're an idiot for not telling me that. All right?
100%. That's on me. That's on me.
So I don't feel like that kick was the only reason we lost, but I do feel like we could have not stolen a win. I feel like we could have gotten away with the win, limped out of there with a win. Yeah. And that would have been good enough for me and a lot of other people. Everybody would have said, hey, it's our first game. Northwestern's great. It's an even year, right? And there would have been a lot of like, hey, we got the win, but obviously the line play, their line dominated us. Their offensive line dominated us. There were gaps that both of us could run through and not get tackled. We couldn't even breathe on Helinski. So there are other reasons, but I do still stand by how I feel that we could have stole that game or limped away with it had we not surrendered field position like that. Where are you a day later?
I mean, I don't understand how it's so easy for people to say that if we don't do that onside kick and we kick it deep, that we're going to win the game. Like, based on what? Because we couldn't stop them multiple times after that. Not just that drive, multiple times after that, right? We were up by 11 when that happened. So it wasn't just that drive. You want to say it killed momentum? 100% agree. I've seen the stats with the 28 or whatever, 27 point something percent of the time you recover an onside kick. So why do you do that? I don't disagree with that either. But again, when we're talking about stats and stats lying, how many times do both the kicking team and the receiving team know it's going to be an onside and they're set up for it? So, I mean, what's the percentage when they have no idea or thought that you're going to kick it onside and they're caught off guard? I'm sure the percentage would go up.
What's the percentage when your team is like dead last usually in special teams? You just got a special teams coach. Like, there wasn't even a coach for this sort of situation. Like, I get that we're going to be like passable now, and all we're asking is to be passable. But why are you asking last year's worst special teams unit to, and I know they're improved, but why are you asking them to come out here and do some shit that you really should only be doing, in my opinion, if it's a bowl game and you're Boise State going versus Oklahoma or some shit, or if it's the Fumble Rooski? Like, why are you resorting to that? It either feels, like I said, and you know, a lot of people agree with me, a lot of people don't. I think more people are with you than I
think it's with you.
Well,
I think the difference is that it's two separate arguments. Like, now I'm saying why I don't think that one thing cost the game. And most people that are super upset with the kick are taking more your side and saying that's just a dumb thing to do. And it's like, yeah, they're two separate arguments in my opinion. Some people don't. They think they're the same argument. I think it can be a dumb play call, a bad time, a bad momentum killer, but also not be at a time or a score in the game that affects the outcome of the game. Other shit happening after that. And now you can argue, well, yeah, things went downhill and momentum flipped because of that. And that's what created the rest of the bad game. That's fine. But now you're looking at how weak and fragile the mindset of your team is, which you can also bring that back to the coaching staff and the culture and everything else. But you can't say that an onside kick that got recovered in the third quarter when you were up by 2 possessions that was it. Game was over. They still got the ball like 5 or 6 more times and couldn't score. Northwestern got the ball multiple times, drove the ball down our throat, scored twice. So, I mean, that not everything didn't hinge on that play is what I'm saying. You can say,
it felt like
you can
all the
argue
momentum did
100%, but that's not the game. right? The momentum swung back and forth a couple different times in that game.
So then why
you
do
can
it?
argue that the last big momentum swing was that.
Okay.
But I would argue, hold on, let me get this real quick and then you go. I would argue if we recover that onside kick, it's over, right? If we get that onside kick.
Is it?
To everybody else's point, okay, no, I'm not arguing that it's over. I'm sorry. I would argue it's more likely that recovering that onside kick results in a win than not recovering that resulted in a loss. I still stand by the loss came because as things progressed through the game and Fitzgerald and Northwestern and their defense and everything else got to see more of what this new system is, what the quarterback's doing. There's not going to be a lot of quarterback run, everything else. They made adjustments throughout that game. And you could tell as they were making adjustments, we weren't. And we started getting manhandled more and more on the lines. Our defense looked horrible towards the end. Missed tackles. They would just get in these like open areas in the middle of the field on pass catches. We didn't adjust to a lot of those things. You go back, I've rewatched the game like 3 times. Once a couple things started working for them, that's all they did. They're throwing right over the middle, right when they get into the second level where nobody was at. And then you've got corners and safeties trying to hustle up to make plays. The few times we would kind of get through a guy through the line of scrimmage or meet a running back at the line of scrimmage, they dive at their feet or slap their leg or get a little hand on them and they go. Like, those are the reasons we lost the game. Not because a bonehead play was called on special teams in the third quarter when we were up by 2 possessions. I don't. You have to stretch pretty hard to tie those things.
You can be right about that if and a lot. I get it. It's not. I feel like everyone who's arguing on this topic is kind of saying the same thing, but they just don't want to agree. Like. I'm not saying that it cost us the game, but do you think?
And I'm not saying it was a good call.
Do you think it? I know you aren't. Do you think we could have limped out of there with a win if we didn't give them a quick touchdown and give them all the momentum back? Could we have limped out?
But what makes everybody think? Here's where I'm perplexed. Where I'm just like, what? What makes everybody think as easy as they went 50 yards and punched the ball in the end zone on us, that they couldn't have gone 65 or 70 yards? Like, what's the difference?
Well, we talked about this last night, and my opinion is the more opportunities that you force them to call plays and run plays is more opportunities mathematically that you can poke the ball out, that there's a faulty snap, Gary, that the handoff isn't clean and the running back drops it, that they throw the ball and get an interception and we house it. I want them to have to make 3 or 4 more plays to beat us than just a few plays. It's like, here you go. What you got for this? We'll just run it here, run it there. Bing, bang, boo. Bob's your uncle. And and now we're down 3. Now we're down 2. Whatever it was. It's like, make them work for it instead of.
If you're that bad of a team that you're hoping and praying that in the third quarter 3 extra plays will create a turnover that saves you, there's far bigger problem. I think people are arguing good points from good places, right? Like, I don't think anybody's straight up wrong, but I'm saying like the issues are way bigger and way deeper than that. And that proves my point, or that I shouldn't say that proves my point. That makes me stand a little more firm in my argument when we're going, well, somebody could have dropped a snap or a turnover could have happened because now you got 3 more tries at turnovers than blah, 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 blah. How about the defense has 3 more plays to stop somebody? I mean, that's pretty common, right? We want to talk about percentage. Most of the time when a team gets the ball back without the other team scoring, it's because their defense held up and they got a punt, not because a ball was handed off bad or an interception got housed, right? That happens, but that doesn't happen near as much as teams forcing other teams to punt. So I'm saying, like, when it comes to playing football, just flat out who's better at football, we were not better than them in any aspect. Even before that, I shouldn't say at any aspect. It was gradually already turning and going downhill up to that point. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the reason why Frost is like, shit, man, they were making adjustments. We got to do something and try to get the nail in the coffin here while we're up these 2 possessions. I don't know, man. I really don't know, but
I want to read a couple comments.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't have them up, so yeah.
Yeah, so Matthew says, Gabe, we can't limp out of there when we can't stop their run. That's a great point, and I just feel like we were up 11. Like, I don't know, at what point are we going to be able to start making them pass and make them not able to run because the run just isn't feasible anymore? I guess we weren't to that point, so maybe they could have just continued to just run it down our throats from the full end of the field. That's fair. Corn me crazy. This would be a good way to change the topic. All right. This is because we do need to talk about our boy, Casey Thompson, your boy, Casey Thompson, who you crowned the obvious front runner for the Heisman.
You know me, man. I get excited about stars next to names and ratings. And
listen, Corn Me Crazy, great name, by the way, says, I blame Casey Chokeson.
Wow.
So I just want to point out, he looked fantastic to start, looked incredible, looked great midway through the game. I think when things got tightened up and there was like a scare of, oh my God, we might lose this game, he looked like a car that ran out of gas on the highway. It was just like, sorry. And then they brought Smothers in for one play. You were right. We should have done more of that. But I don't think our coaches were really thinking that they needed to do whatever it takes to win. I think they really felt like we can do what we want to do to win. And that, I think, cost us. How would you assess, I almost said Casey Chokeson again. Good Lord. Casey Thompson. How would you assess his first start?
I didn't have any issues with Casey Thompson. I feel like both of those interceptions, one goes right off the dude's hands. They could have been thrown better, right? More accurate. But I mean, the one where he like alligator arms, it barely puts his hands up and it gets picked off. The other one where it slaps off of both of his hands and gets picked off. He was inaccurate at different times. Again, I felt like he'd barely get through his drop and the line or the pocket was collapsing. We did when we were talking yesterday. You're seeing they're sending 4 guys and they're getting through like they're sending 7. But I think he did, as good as I personally expected. I think as they picked up on the fact that he wasn't going to be a factor in the run game, it was way easier for them to defend the quick passes and things like that. And I'm not a huge fan.
Okay, but do you think that's by design or do you think that that's his skill trait? Because I think it's by design. I know he can't scoot like Adrian Martinez, but he's not a bum, bro, and he's not slow, and he's tough. He doesn't mind taking hits.
But I mean, that's true from what we watched. But as he started getting hit, you could tell he was a little bit different.
I know, you're right. A little bit more maybe one of them hits actually
get rid of it.
Maybe one of those hits actually rang his bell a little bit. But do you think it's by design that he's not
I don't know,
running?
Because
it looks like design, dude. It looks like Whipple's like, you're Peyton Manning. Go back there and sling it.
Right, but like when Smothers came in, to me that I'm not a fan of multi quarterbacks, right? Like if they do it, they do it. But that showed right there that even though it's likely when Smothers comes in and not Purdy, that there's going to be a quarterback run play, or at least the option to, right? Some type of an RPO. When that worked for 7 yards, they should have came in with Casey Thompson and ran that exact same style of play again. And old boy
got so scared he face masked him up. He was like, "Nah, you ain't getting away." He could see that there was a decent hole there,
right? And Casey Thompson doesn't have to be Adrian Martinez or Taylor Martinez or any of those guys. Logan Smothers even. If the threat's there, it changes the dynamic of the defense and what they can do and what they're just sitting on. Which is what happened as the game went. They just sat on. Okay, it's going to be more of like a up the middle type run or a quick counter is it. There's not a lot of wrinkles in the run game, or he's going to drop back. And when he drops back, we're easily going to get through the line. So we don't have to lock down. The one play where he ran around for 12 seconds, that was a rarity. Imagine if they had to play man to man or just pass coverage for even 4 or 5 seconds once in a while. What the receivers could have done with that, or what he could have done with that, going through some progression. So I mean, they have to figure something out, man. I think we talked about it last night. I know you and I did. I don't know if it was when we recorded or not, but they have to get more creative with the run game if that offensive line is not going to be able to just line up and punch people in the mouth like we heard all spring and summer that they were getting to. Things were simpler. It was going to be more of a power offensive line where they were getting big and they were going to be nasty. They would jump off the ball and blow people up. And I didn't see that at all. I didn't see the line of scrimmage move backwards, a half a yard, let alone a couple yards like we're hearing was going to happen with the run game.
Yeah, Hunter says no screenplays. That's true.
Yeah, we talked. That's what I was talking about yesterday too with that. And have we heard why Ramir Johnson didn't play?
Dude,
I know Frost. It was mentioned, and Frost was like, "Oh, it was." He
said if it was a different type of game, maybe we would have seen more guys in there. The hell does that mean?
Yeah, I mean that's vague as shit. But like you're saying, like, yeah, a guy that's quick and that you can throw to out of the backfield and run screens with, that would have been a horrible idea to the 4-man front.
I really believe. Okay, in the video that we put out today, I said I felt like I really liked Whipple at first, but then it wasn't so fun. Like it's fun. Okay. Huskers, man. We both grew up Husker fans, of course. So we're used to the option. We're used to if there's a play call for a pass, it's like remember the fake? Would they call it a fake or what? Like it's like the triple option pass.
Yeah.
Where the receiver is just butt ass naked because there's no reason to think that they were going to pass. That's what I grew up with the Huskers passing. So when we got Callahan, I was thoroughly excited. Oh my God, we're going to be throwing the ball like the pros. It's never worked. And getting into the Big Ten, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And so it was fun to see this proficient passing offense. I wasn't scared when he was stepping back to throw. I felt like he's going to make a good decision, and I'm seeing nothing but completions from this kid. This is fun to watch the Huskers pass. But then as the game went on, you realized, oh, shit, we're not connecting on those deep passes. None of them are hitting, except for the very first, that first one to IGC, which was a beaut. And after that, there was nothing deep. And every damn route, bro, was, like you were saying, usually it looks like the first person on the route or the play that's supposed to get it. The designated route was getting it. And Northwestern knew. It was like they started really it was a lot of, I felt like curl routes and crossing patterns.
Yeah.
And they were just waiting on it. And the passes started to have to travel through narrower and narrower windows. And he just couldn't keep it up the whole game. So it was like, God damn, can we get some running? Can we get can we just start running the ball? We know it worked last year. If there's one way to beat this team, it's probably that. But dude, we watched film of that too. And we couldn't get a push to save our life. If we had 4 offensive linemen and they had 5 OL and they had 4 DL, it didn't matter. We had two damn fullback blockers, can't get more than a yard. So it's like, dude, we overestimated this team, and you're right. It's because no one cares about the offensive line, and no one cares about the defensive line.
It's not fun and exciting for most people to watch that battle.
But it's not that, man. It's not that people don't like the OL. You're right. It's not fun. It's not. I'm saying exciting.
Entertainment value. People
I know. But how many times do we have to uproot everyone up out of here before somebody comes in and says, you know what? I'm going to be a Brett Bielema style and get this damn offensive line up and going. How long? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying just because you get your offensive line good, you have to run all the time. Get a good passing offensive line. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, you're saying exactly what you've heard me say for the last 3 coaches. Like, it's just, especially in the Big Ten, man. Like, you can't. When people look at like, well, Ohio State gets all these 4- and 5-star guys on, receivers and running backs and quarterbacks, and they torch people. Yeah, they also get stud-ass linemen so that they can do those types of things, right? There's a reason why, take Northwestern, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan. I mean, Michigan gets a lot, but there's a reason why these teams have these big ass stud offense and defensive lines every year, and I say stud, but I mean at least serviceable, and then every so often, every year they have at least a consistent running back, or every once in a while a guy that pops up and looks like he's going to be really good because they're running behind really good solid lines. You know what I'm saying? Like we get these guys who are supposed to be the next, we got Marlon Lucky, and you get these other guys, people get all excited about these running backs, and one, they tend to get hurt a lot, but two, it just doesn't pan out because you almost have to run option style stuff to get the defensive line moving laterally, because you can't just line up and power run the ball down the throat like everybody else does to us. And people get so excited about what the new Nebraska team is going to be like, right? Like who they got this year. Now they got a coach, and every few years when they get a new coach, it's like, okay, this new style and this and that. Without those lines, like why don't we ever look, or why don't we hear that much going into these games about how good the other teams are at doing what they do? You know what I mean? Like there's so much pride for Nebraska fans forever. And you talk about the old 90s offensive line when they were like, man, guys would line up and tell the defensive line, we're running the ball at the B gap. And then we run the ball down the B gap and pick up 12 yards and tell them we're coming back and doing it again. They come back and do it again. Like that's essentially what teams do to us every year now, is we watch game plan from the last 3 years of them doing what they've always done to us. We know what they're going to do, and then they come out and do it and can't stop them. So, I mean, it's and then the answer seems to be, and people get excited, well, we're going to go get another quarterback, or the quarterback shit, get him out, or we're going to bring in these stud wide receivers, or we got these other running backs coming. It's like, great. How are they going to operate?
I'm just watching this edit of Scott Frost trying to get them to let him in the plane. That's amazing.
Where are you at on Frost then?
Okay. Before I forget, can I just mention? So don't forget what you're talking. You're talking about Frost. But I'm gonna lose this train of thought. This is just a random thought. Does Casey Thompson look shorter than you thought he was gonna look?
Yeah.
Dude,
I thought that during the game.
Maybe it's the red instead of the burnt orange, but I don't care. I don't care.
Black clothes make you look skinnier, so red makes you look short.
I don't know, but he looked small, and I don't care. It's cool. It's cool. You can definitely in college you can be successful with a shorter quarterback. Joey Gaines did the damn thing. But I just thought that was interesting. I was wondering if I was the only one that thought that he looked taller at Texas than he did in a Husker jersey. So Scott Frost, where am I at with Scott Frost? My eyes are open. And I realize it feels like I love Scott Frost too much for emotional reasons, for nostalgia. And he's...
Do the 3 wins this season make you feel pretty nostalgic?
It's definitely nostalgic, but it's just, I don't need to even say it. He's our guy. He's our son. He left. He went and learned from Chip Kelly when Chip Kelly was hot shit. He then goes to UCF and becomes hot shit. Literally wins Coach of the Year. And we just so happened to be hating Mike Riley at the time. And we're able to get him, and he could have went other places. So it's like, we always go back to references with dating and being married. It's like you got the girl that you always wanted, and you grew up with her, and you got all this history, and damn it, you love her. And she's talented. She's got everything you're looking for, but for whatever reason, it's just like the main things in the marriage that need to be addressed are not happening. And you're just like,
she cheats on you once a year.
No, let's not go with cheating. It's going to be something less than cheating, but it's like, I don't want to divorce you, Scott Frost. I fucking love you. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to see you out there dating somebody else in a bikini on the beach with someone else. I don't want to see that. So it's just a painful thing. But damn it, he ain't making it no easier. He if I close my eyes and think about the decisions that he's making, it reminds me of Matt Nagy, and it makes me fucking sick. It makes me want to claw my eyes out I hate when you have a coach who makes calls that you, myself, an idiot on the couch, I shouldn't ever know better than him. It's okay if I'm like, hey, he should do this here and he does it. That's cool if I'm right every once in a while, but I shouldn't be able to call out things like that. He should know better. And it's not just the kick. This is year after year after year of weird things happening. Like, think about how good Adrian Martinez must have felt. Bro, he was laughing his ass off at the end of that game. I bet you he goes out and literally, I think that one game probably could help his confidence that he'll just have a great season at K-State, because he'll be like, it wasn't all me. Even I was starting to think maybe I was the problem. But after seeing the exact same result, the meltdown, maybe it isn't all me. What do you think? Where are you at with Scott Frost?
Well, I mean, to the Martinez thing, I don't think he ever thought it was all him, but whatever. That's another topic. I don't know, man. I think. Well, hold on. Jeff is saying no one's going to date Frost, and what D1 program from a Power 5 wants Frost. You're probably right, but it's more of like it's like a what if, like, oh no, what if he goes somewhere else and rehabilitates his career, and but no, he'll go back to a lower conference or a FCS school or something, and then if he does well there, he might get a look at a lower tier D1 school, and then if he builds himself up, then he's putting the heads of other fan bases.
Think he's gonna be coaching against Pelini? Come on, he's not that bad.
I'm saying other fan or other places start looking like, well, maybe he wasn't the problem. Maybe Nebraska is that in the dirt as a program culturally and blah blah blah. But
how could we be? That doesn't make no sense.
I mean, there's no argument that we're not. What are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. How else do you explain being so bad and actually regressing, no matter what coach?
What are you saying? Are you saying that the jerseys have a jinx on them or something?
I'm saying that
we got all the money in the world. We got all the want to in the world. We got all the facilities.
Everybody has facilities. Lots of places have money.
Look
at what happened with Alabama until they.
Not everybody's got it like us. Don't act like that.
They say everybody.
Our shit is special.
What about USC? Why has USC been shit for a while? When they were so prominent, and then they were bad, then they were prominent again. Now they've been bad for a while. Everybody expects with Riley they're going to be back up top. What happened with Alabama through all the coaches and all the years where they were absolutely horrible after winning titles and everything before they got Saban? Like I feel like it's one of those situations.
Well, we lost our edge, which we had on everyone, which was we were the first team to really have a strength and conditioning program. Now everybody's got that. Probably some have better than ours. And we've never regained that edge. But the funny thing is, we're looking for this different edge. We're like, well, what are we going to do? Let's find a new edge. No, how about we just go back to being a power offensive line, defensive line team? Like, maybe I don't want to miss out on flashy 4-star, 5-star players, Gary. You know me. I don't want that. But if it comes at the cost, of missing out on offensive line guys and D-line, that's where I think our focus needs to be.
How do you run that offense when you haven't had a line that could basically run and pass block? Now all of a sudden you think that we're going to take these guys that we're getting and we're going to make them like, okay, since we're changing the scheme, now you're not going to get blown off the line and you're going to be able to move guys 5 and 6 yards. You're going to be able to get into the second level. And after you blow up a D tackle, you're going to be able to seal out a linebacker so that we can start shoving the ball down people's throats. They can't get basically adequate offensive line, no matter what system they're running. Like saying that we've been bad because we're not running enough power game is.
Could it just be that Northwestern's that good?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. That's kind of why I said people don't look enough into the opponents. They look at just.
I'm willing to give our defensive line a pass, more so than our offensive line, because I mean, Prohaska's supposed to be our stud, and I hate to I don't want to be in the business of calling out players, but I wouldn't expect a stud to be getting tossed around like a piece of bologna like that. That was wild, Gary. That was wild. It
Yeah, but I
wasn't
mean,
just in the
why
run; it was in the pass.
they returned 4 guys on the offensive line, right? That's what we keep hearing about. How
Northwestern
come?
or us?
Yeah, Northwestern. How come they didn't do that last year? Our defensive line matched up against that offensive line last year. For the most part, we supposedly added better pass rushers, and they couldn't do shit. Yesterday, they couldn't do anything
Because
wrong.
we had a focus on the run last year. That was our thing. And this year, we were throwing it all over the yard.
When they started making adjustments, we didn't make the adjustments.
Right, because I think Whipple is like, nah, this is what I do. I'm a passing guy. Have you heard of Kenny Pickett? And wanted to pass it all over the place.
Right.
But also, when we watched us try to run on the goal line, we look like children playing against men.
Yeah.
So I don't even think we could do it if we wanted to be honest. Not against them.
What I'm getting at is like an answer to Frost thing is everybody wanted Martinez gone because he was the problem. Okay, he's gone now. We got a guy in where we threw for, what would you say, 100 anywhere from 100 to 150 more yards a game than Martinez would have. Ran for minus 18 yards, about 118 less than Martinez average. So you basically took yards by your quarterback in the damn near the same amount, but just scattered them out differently. So, okay, that probably wasn't the problem. Frost is the problem. We need a different coach. Okay, last year he did the next best thing other than stepping down and being fully replaced and said, this thing that I'm doing that isn't working, running the offense, I'm going to turn it over to this guy. Everybody's excited because that guy was the offensive coordinator of a high-powered offense and one of the top quarterbacks in the league or the nation last year. He comes in, does his thing, and I was like, well, that doesn't work. That's not a good system. We got to get back to running the ball. Like, what is it specifically then? Like, we either have to figure out exactly what it is, and we can't do it because we can't agree on how important the onside kick was. I mean, collectively as a fan base. But I'm saying the program overall has to figure out what direction they want to go from top to bottom. Not this guy's a flashy coaching hire. The fans really like the option back in the 90s, so we need somebody who's going to come back and run that. They need to go from top to bottom for the character that they want the players to have, the system they want their coach to run, the type of personality he has. All of those things need to be mapped out. Then make that hire accordingly. Not go get a guy because he's different than Pelini personality-wise, and the fans are tired of Pelini's attitude even though he's winning, so we get that. Well, he sucks. Now we need a guy. He has no ties to Nebraska. We need a Nebraska guy. So we go get a guy who's a Nebraska guy and who has always been a really hands-on and kind of an ego. That was one of the big things. He had this ego, and then after a couple years of him being, egotistical and wanting his fingerprints all over everything, well, that doesn't work. We need somebody else that's going to run it. We don't like this quarterback. We want this system. Like, you can't just constantly, and I know fans are going to do that. Like, we're going to do that. You know what I mean? I'm not like trying to shit on anybody in particular, but if the program that's making these hires and doing everything isn't very clear on what their basically business plan or business model is when they go after the coach, whether it's keeping Frost or getting somebody new, this is just going to keep happening. And this is what's been happening, because that's what happens. You make an emotion-based reactionary hire, and then you try to just fix things on the fly as you're going. And that's what I'm saying with the Alabama example I use, the USC example I use. Oklahoma was like that for a while back in the day, is that you're just trying to go get a guy that you think we can plug in and it'll work. And once he's there, it's like, well, we don't want to just get rid of him right away. What can we change around him or have him change? And then that doesn't work. So then it's back to, okay, now we got to replace him. And you just keep doing the same things over and over again without actually having a vision that you want things to take. So over time, you just deteriorate the culture because you don't have anybody or anything long enough to build roots and keep it going and establish something so that now when you bring guys in, there's no learning or trying to figure out who do I attach to. It's just a known, you fall in place, and this is how the program does this. This is what we do in this situation. This is what we do in that situation. If a guy goes on to a better job, you know what kind of a hire they're looking to get. They're not looking to change something drastically because it's a knee-jerk reaction. So that's what I'm saying. Culturally, it could be so bad that it's going to take Frost a long time, which I don't think he's going to be afforded, or it takes that magical Nick Saban type hire, which you're not finding anybody like that coming to Nebraska after the shit show they've presented to the nation the last however many years, you're going to have to find somebody who's like Urban Meyer was, or like Nick Saban was when they came up out of nowhere and blew up, and just hope to God you find that at some point and rebuild the culture that way.
So that's the answer. Keep trying to coach.
No, I'm saying the answer is culturally. When we're sitting here saying that a bad special teams decision in the third quarter when you're up by 2 scores messed the momentum up and screwed with guys' heads so bad that ended the game.
Man, that's how football works.
That's
how football works. I don't care if
that's
it's
not how football works.
Dude.
You're telling me if half the teams in the Big Ten, Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, any of those teams, if they have a bad play, they could turn the ball over. They could fumble the ball on a punt return, have it picked up in the end zone for a touchdown. In that same exact scenario, up 11, whatever else, they're going to come back and win, and everybody's confident that would happen. If Vegas flipped the line on those teams and went, okay, now the line is whoever they're playing, Nebraska, let's say we luck out and it happens with us. Now Nebraska's favored to win the game. You get plus money if you think Alabama's going to win. People would bet everything they had and double their money on that's not going to bother a team like Alabama or a team like Oklahoma or a team like Ohio State or Clemson or any of those guys. That's what I'm saying. Culturally, you're weak. You're top to bottom weak. Coaches, coaching staff, training staff, players, everybody is mentally weak. If one momentum swing because of a bad play, whether it's by a player or a coach, ruins you from a 2-possession lead with a quarter and a half to play, and you just can't find it no more, it's over with. That's weak, man. That's bigger problems than a simple hiring, firing, than a simple position replacement, than a simple play call. That's bad. If that's really what happened, if we didn't just get outplayed by a bigger, more physical, better line, and it's because things like that, when it gets in somebody's head or between the ears, you don't have it, that's way, way bigger of an issue, man. That's a cultural issue.
Let's swing it over the defense, because that's, aside from the kick, forget about the kick.
You're telling everybody I'm right, though, right?
Well, listen,
you're admitting you're wrong.
You're not corn crazed, so I'm gonna need you to stop acting like you've done something on YouTube. All right, because you haven't. The defense was embarrassing and shocking. Like, I expected to be proud of the defense. I expected, maybe we don't get a lot of sacks and stuff. I didn't expect the secondary to look like that. Swiss fucking cheese, Gary. Of course he had all the time to pass in the world, but there was no aspect of our defense that I was proud of. I am shocked that they had the feeling like they thought the game was just over from the beginning. Like, we got this. We're Nebraska. We've got our black shirts. We're favored. Let's go out here and have some fun. We're dominant. Look at us last year. We're so good. We're definitely going to be better. And they didn't. I just feel like the defense didn't come to play. I would have bet all of my money that it would have been the opposite, that our offense would have sputtered. But, dude, I feel like the points we put up and in the fashion we did, I feel like that 28 points is good enough to beat this Northwestern team. I think our defense just really let us down. And I'm shocked by it. What do you think of our defense? Do you think we still have time? Are we going to bounce back and not look like that for the rest of the year? Are we going to be able to go back to 2021 Husker defense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Were we not that good in the first place? Am I misreading how good we were last year?
Well, no, I mean, arguably or whatever, by numbers or on paper, the schedule was tougher last year, and they did pretty well. But, I mean, that's the other thing. I don't know how good the defense is going to be with replacing those guys. But you replace veteran leadership in the secondary, and it showed yesterday with that being replaced. You went from running more of a traditional linebacker heavy set to having, these edge rushers or whatever you want to call them, and leaving them in there to try and pass rush, and they weren't getting home. It's the first game of the season. I mean, yeah, it's possible that these younger guys and these new guys get more comfortable. The team as a unit, or the defense as a unit, starts to gel better and things look better. But it's also possible that they just got worse. You replaced, again, we talked in the one preview, the DB preview video, we always hear about the perks of the new guys, whatever it is. But that doesn't always translate to when it comes down to them playing that they're going to be better. So like we heard about how athletic all these guys were. There was a lot of missed tackles. There was basically nobody covering the middle of the field the second half of the game. Guys out of position. And also the defensive backs, a lot of times were having to come up and help in the run stop because they had to pack the box to try and keep them from running. And that's when they were gouging us over the middle for the passing yards. So we're going to have 2 games where I think everybody's going to look better. We might not look great like people would anticipate we should look against those 2 teams, but having something now to actually go off of instead of just playing against each other, I think you're going to see improvement. But to me, the real next test is going to be like how bad are you going to look? Not how good, how bad or how much less bad are you going to look when Oklahoma comes in?
Dude. Do you have any thoughts on Oklahoma as of now? What that matchup's going to be like?
Which one?
Oklahoma.
No, I don't know what Oklahoma's going to look like.
Right.
You know, they're kind of in the same spot. I mean, they got a new head coach, a new quarterback. I mean, who knows? But we'll have a couple weeks now to kind of see if there's position changes, if there's scheme changes. I'm curious to see if the running and passing. I'm worried that that passing plan is going to work against these 2 teams to like kind of reinstill, the running game isn't that big of a deal. It's there when we need it. And then we play a team like Oklahoma and we're right back to looking like we did against Northwestern, if not worse. But there'll be a couple weeks to kind of see what's changed and what's happening with that. And also a couple weeks to see what Oklahoma's kind of looking like.
I so desperately don't want to be mocked as being too drunk on Kool-Aid. I don't want that label, man. You know? But
that's a common theme with Husker fans.
It is, and that's why I want to remove myself from it. I don't want to be on that. I don't want people to think of me like that. However, I don't think that this loss is the end of the world. And I know this is Groundhog's Day. We've said this how many fucking times, bro. We only lost by 3. It's that never got better last year, but I'm willing to let it play out and see if we can turn things around and get better this year. Because we've had so much turnaround. What I'm saying is I'm not willing to mentally give up, and I don't feel like I need to mentally give up. Like, we're going to win the next 2 games more than likely. If not, if not the next stream, you and I will be hanging from our ceilings, right? So setting that aside, we're 2-1. We got Oklahoma coming in. Everybody's going to be willing to believe and willing to get hurt again because we will have looked probably so good by that point. Dude, I now think Oklahoma beats us. Now that I know we're capable of just melting down, I don't see why we wouldn't melt down against such a superior stacked team. But I think it's going to be close like that Northwestern game.
Yeah, I don't think that. Right now, I don't think that. But going back to like when we did the schedule breakdown and different times you and I have talked, a lot of people now have a different outlook on the season than they did before yesterday, and rightfully so. My whole point was not to like shit on Nebraska or be a hater or whatever you're giving me shit about. What has happened last year, the year before that, and the year before that? What has happened that would make anybody think that there's something going to change or be better with all these new guys and players and coaches and stuff coming in and all this uncertainty happening? That so many people were like, oh, we're going to win the West for sure, probably compete or probably beat Ohio State or have a good chance at running. It's like, what? Based on what? You know what I'm saying? Like, and now after one game where the same thing happened the last time you saw him play, it's a complete flip-flop to season's over, let's get rid of Frost, or maybe we'll win 3. We're probably going to win these 2, but who knows if we'll be able to beat Rutgers or Illinois or any of these teams. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, kind of like that's what my point was coming into the season. I hadn't seen anything. The last I saw, they were choking a big lead against Iowa. You know what I'm saying? So like what would change opinions that much other than hype? And that's what I'm saying. I ain't going back to the Kool-Aid thing. Like, yes, coaches are going to give you coach speak. Insiders that are down there watching practice are going to tell you all these things, how good it is. We've seen this every single year. Like at some point, I need to be proven or shown that we're better instead of just hearing about it and then being let down all the time.
God, dude, I was so willing to believe we were going to win that game. It hurts. It hurts my ego. All right. It hurts the intelligence part of my ego, the part of my ego that thinks how smart I think I am. All right. It hurts that side of my brain where I'm like, oh my God, I got sold a bill of goods. I sold myself a bill of goods.
Yeah, that's why I keep telling you.
And paid extra.
That's why I keep telling you, you're not very smart. You should listen to me. And
I should.
Get saved it.
Man, I want to look at the chat. Guys, got, I think, like 95 people in here. We appreciate everybody, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's doing good. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I mean, we're still going, obviously, but hit the like button. We'll get more people in here, maybe break 100. But I want to read some of the comments. I'm trying to sift through the more troll style ones. Jeff says, in the West, what coach is Frost better than?
In the West?
Yeah.
God
damn, it sucks, man. It wasn't supposed to be this way, Gary. That's just what I'm saying. It wasn't. This was supposed to be it. We let Solich go, and it was like bad juju, apparently. Frost was supposed to be it, damn it. I want him to be it. Can he turn things around? Is it possible? Do you feel like he's like fucked up you keep talking about the culture. Do you feel like he's fucked up the culture? I feel like the culture's gotten better.
Maybe it's so bad it's taking a while. Maybe he's making it worse. I don't know. All I know, look, so I'm never going to get off this offensive defensive line thing, right? But let me just ask this in question to what everybody's saying about who is he better than? If he had Wisconsin's offensive line any one year, do you think he still has the same records?
Hell no.
What about Minnesota, Iowa, or Northwestern's offensive lines?
Don't you think he's tried to fix the offensive line?
Maybe, but they tried to win games and they haven't done it. So either figure it out, or you
get gone.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Something's got to give, man. You can't just. I mean, this isn't NAIA football.
Adam says we all wanted Frost to be it, but he ain't it. God damn, I wish you were wrong, Adam. I'm gonna hold out hope. This last year, the beginning of this question was, how do you feel about Frost? I think I figured out how I feel. I feel like I've gone from let him figure it out if it takes a few more years. Now I feel like he's on a 1-year clock. And I feel like he has to. Like, I know a lot of people were already there. I'm late to the party, Gary. All right? I get that. But now
depending on how it goes, man, he might not make it through the season.
Go on that. Do you really think they'd get rid of him mid-year? They didn't even get rid of Riley, and Riley was a lame duck.
What do you think would happen if he drops one against either North Dakota or Georgia Southern?
Gone.
Right. What do you think if he wins
those games?
What if he wins those, loses not very impressive looking game against Oklahoma, and then gets bounced by Indiana?
Okay.
Or Rutgers, back to back. Let's say.
You were talking to me about how you agree with Carricker. Like, Carricker's talking about how he wants it to be. He doesn't want a 6-6 season. He wants a 3-9 or a super winning season, right? He wants to figure out if this is going to be the regime. But he also said that he thinks that if he does win 6-6, they will try to keep him because they really want it to work with him, and they want to evaluate the new coaching staff and everything on a 2-year scale, not just 1 year. They want 2 years of looking at Raiola and Mickey and Whipple with Frost. They don't want to do it in one. So if he wins 6-6, I think he keeps his job. And I don't know if that's for the best, right? But I'm starting to think that I would be with you guys and just say, man, maybe we just rip this goddamn Band-Aid off.
It goes back to what I was saying about you've got too many, you're herding cats. You're trying to fix this and see if this works and work on that. Like, The answer is yes. You need to give the new regime time to see if it's going to work. But the problem with that is the guy that's in charge of all of that has already been here for 4 years, and he shouldn't have the same leash. And with a lot of people, he doesn't have the same length of leash that the guys that are under him are. But it works for him to go, hey, I turned my offense over like you wanted, letting them run it. If things don't change, or you at least got to give it time to see. But if things don't change, how much is my fault? Now I'm doing this. Judge me on the new focal points or what, you know what I'm saying? It just creates, and I'm not saying any one of those things is right or wrong. I'm just saying it creates more question and more chaos.
Listen, since you're such a galaxy brain, can you go a little bit further into the depth of why our offensive line sucks on dick?
I wish that I could ask Frost and get a 100% honest answer. How hard, if at all, did he try in the transfer portal in the offseason
to
beef up the line in comparison to what Mickey Joseph and guys like that did to bring in receivers and running backs? Like, every time I heard about a new guy we got in the transfer portal, I know a lot of it had to do with ties to Mickey Thompson. Basically, people were just following him here, or Mickey Joseph, Jesus. A lot of it was people just following him here. But have they been so bad for so long that offensive linemen are like, yeah, good one. I'm going to go to the Big Ten and play for you guys. No, I'll go to Iowa, or I'll go to Penn State or Michigan or Wisconsin or whatever. In any team, really. Like, is that what's happening? Or is it like, no, offensive line's fine. We don't need to put a lot of focal point there. We need better skill players or more skill players. You know what I mean? Like, I'm real curious of what focus.
Kevin McGinnis, I think that's how you say his last name. Where did I find his tweet in here? Kevin McGinnis says, how is it that all the Big Ten West coaches know how important the O-line is, and Frost thinks mediocre O-line with some flashy play calling will do the job? Like, seriously, how could it be this many years in and that's not the focus? And then I want to ask you, do you think, in your evaluation, you played college football, you weren't an offensive lineman. How?
That was a left tackle.
You look like
190, weighed 195.
You still look like you could get out there and maybe move some ends around.
One arm Nelson out of my way.
Do we have bad recruits? Were these guys not sought after? Are these guys 2-stars? Like, are they 3? Are they just 3 and under? What?
Almost all the guys that are there were highly recruited. So then it comes to, was the last regime? Because I mean, I've had a problem with player development for years, right? Like, you've heard me bitch about that a lot. But is that all it is? We heard that when Raiola came in, we're going to make things less complicated. We're going to really simplify it and let these guys do what they do, as far as just beating their guy up off the line, and how they were beating the shit out of each other and throwing up in practice. And they were beat down by the time it went to do team drills, because their individual drills were so vigorous and hard on each other and whatnot. I mean, if that's true and you're still that much worse and that much less physical and that much softer than Northwestern, that's sad, man. That's conditioning problems. That's development problems. That's coaching problem. Like, there's a lot of issues if what we were hearing in the offseason is true. Because you would think they would come out and be able to get a half a yard bump maybe once in a while to help the running back run, instead of just everybody being stood up and dumped sideways at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to answer the question, I don't know. Because you go back and look, when we did the offensive line breakdown, we were looking at like Corcoran and Prohaska and Benhart and Bando and different guys like that. Like, they all came with different, whether it was this state or other states, Iowa, different places like that, where they had whatever. And that's the other thing, man. Like, I know you make fun of me because I don't care at all about stars and ratings of guys, but that's a prime example. You know what I mean? Like, they come in highly touted, and it's like either those ratings don't mean shit, which we know they really don't. Who's recruiting you will bump you up or down on your rating, not just your flat out talent. And how much are you getting evaluating a high school kid that's playing against other high school kids that maybe don't even want to play, but you know, they're on the team because it's whatever, they're on the team, or they're never going to do anything past that. And we're acting like guys playing against them are ready for the NFL out of high school, getting excited because they got a 4-star, or they get bumped up to a 5, or they're a 3, almost a 4. Like, okay, whatever that's worth, we've got a handful of those guys. They've been here for years. What happened?
I have no clue, right? It's freaky. It's like we're the Bermuda Triangle of offensive lines.
Right, but now that the portal's a thing, and they did very good at utilizing the portal to replace a lot of players. A lot of
wasn't
positions.
it sixth best in talent, or was that not portal? Was that just NIL talent?
Again, that's a ranking that we'll see when it's done. But whatever, I don't care. I'm just saying, like, they wanted a quarterback, so they went and got one. They wanted some other receivers, they went and got them. You know, you lost Torrey and you lost Allen to the NFL. You lost a lot of positions. You got real thin in your defensive backfield. You went and got some guys where they get like 14 transfer portal guys. I'm just saying, like, even if you did recruit really, really well a few years ago, and you've got these guys who are supposed to be stud offensive linemen, and maybe they are, and there's something with the scheme that's still not right or hurting them. You know what I mean? Maybe if they played for a different school, they'd be better off. But either way, what you had didn't work, and you didn't address that in the transfer portal. So you either felt confident in what you had, or you tried to get them and they wouldn't come, or I mean, I don't know what else it could be. Like,
yeah, that would be. I wish you were in the press conference able to ask a question. Now, we wouldn't be able to hear that question because they never let the reporters have a microphone. You can never fucking hear what they're saying, but
no,
you can hear what Frost is saying. I want to read you a very positive take, Gary. All right, and this is from Marquise Buford. I want to ask you what you thought of him after that, too. So after that, if you want to go on what you think about Marquise Buford's game specifically. Mm-hmm. But I want to know if you're willing to buy this take. Will you buy this one more time? He said, I can't wait to see where we go from here. We played the worst game we're going to play all year, and we still only lost by 3. That's pretty scary. Does that make your blood boil? Because you're looking down, and I feel like you're looking down in anger.
No, I mean, I would want him to say that.
You want him to say that, but can you stomach it? And can you buy it one more time? Can you let
It
yourself
doesn't mean
believe
anything
that?
to me. It's the same thing as the Kool-Aid conversation we had. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me other than this dude's not dropping his head and sulking during an interview, right? So, like, he's saying the right things. Hopefully he thinks that. Hopefully the rest of the team thinks that. Hopefully this was a first game of guys getting plugged into spots and schemes and this and that. Do I think that? No. I don't think opposite of that either. I don't think anything. I think whatever you show me next week, I'll reevaluate. Whatever you show me the week after that, that's where I'm at with this team, man. It's a game by game, week by week reevaluation for me until there's something for any period of time positive to make me go, okay, now I expect this to not be trash.
Right.
But until then, I'm expecting trash, hoping for roses. And when they say things, good, all right, you're saying the right things. Oh, good, you got a guy to fill that spot. Oh, good, you're doing this where this was wrong, or you're going to do that. It's rare that you see it after you hear about it, but I'm optimistic and hopeful that that's what's going to happen. But I'm not going to sit here in the next videos we do or on this stream or to anybody that I talk Husker football with and be like, oh no, you watch, dude, throw all your money on Nebraska because they're gonna. That's not coming out of my mouth, man. They're gonna have to do a lot of doing things and proving things and a lot less talking and telling us how rosy everything's getting.
So a lot of people know I'm a Suns fan. I have a Suns channel that I've had longer than this channel, and I watched them go from literally dead last in the NBA to really being a top-tier NBA team that's respected now. People think about the Suns. You might laugh at them because we got blown out by Luka, but you respect them. People respect them. They say, yeah, they're a top team. They're not going to win anything, but they're a top team, right?
You guys are the exact opposite of Spurs.
I thought... Don't make this about basketball, Gary. That was out of line.
I need you to... When you're done, I have a water polo analogy when you're done.
Get this back to football, please, for the love of God. So I thought I was watching the same thing during that game. I had those feelings. I had Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker taking over feelings watching Casey Martin. I almost said Casey Martinez. Ugh, it's a Freudian slip because he melted down like Martinez. When I was watching Casey Thompson, I felt like I was watching the future of the Huskers, of course, just for a couple of years. But I felt like I was watching us break the mold. Is it possible that we just didn't break through because Northwestern is that fucking good? Because they are good. Is it possible that you could put it on two things? They're that good in the trenches, and this was our first game with a new offense and a bunch of new pieces. Is that, can you just give me that so I can sleep good at night?
Sure.
Well, that sounded patronizing.
I mean,
does it have to be more than that?
It could. Well, yeah, because they make adjustments and we didn't. That's a huge factor. I mean, there's a reason why teams that are clearly not as good as other teams, and I'm not sitting here saying Nebraska's players are clearly better than Northwestern's or whatever. Most people would argue that when you look at all your fancy ratings and stars, that's what people would say. But when they lined it up, that's not what happened, right? So either that's because all of those ratings and everything like that's wrong and they are that much better than Nebraska, or and you don't even have to use that game. You use other games where the team that's a heavy underdog wins. They're coached up better. You know, schematically they can outdo the other side. You see like an underdog fighter win because he's like when knocked out Usman. You know, he's getting dominated that whole fight. He got an opening, was looking for, waiting and sitting on him to bite on the feint and kicked him in the head. So, I mean, you have to be able to coach, man. And it's not just, oh, we've got this really good scheme. Can you adapt? Can you adjust? You know, this isn't some little league thing or some, you know, Pop Warner football where it's like, okay, we're going to get a faster running back, a better quarterback, a really strong, solid tackling linebacker. And then we're just going to have this scheme that works where we can spotlight those guys and really let them do their thing, and we're going to beat everybody. Because not everybody's good, and they're going to sit there and they're going to make adjustments to what you're trying to do. And then when you're stopping them, they're going to make adjustments to how you're stopping them. And Nebraska, for whatever reason, seems to rarely ever do that.
You're a betting man. What do you think the over-under is on Rahmir Johnson getting playing time?
Dude.
Oh, no. Let me change the question. What do you think the over-under is on how many more games he lasts out of the lineup before he transfers out of Nebraska?
Rahmir?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That shit's so confusing to me.
Because don't they get to week 4? Can't they leave up until week 4?
I don't know. But Gabe Ervin was the first true freshman started last year. The only reason supposedly he stopped playing was because he got hurt. Rahmir Johnson ended up being the bell cow. Yant was supposed to be the next upcoming deal. And then this year starts with everybody healthy, guys supposedly new and improved. Again, you go back to all the uppity positive bullshit you heard in the offseason. And then when they come out and line up, it's drastically different. I mean, O'Shawn Mathis didn't even start, did he?
No. He looked good.
Yeah, he didn't look bad, but I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't know what to think or anticipate or whatever. That's why I'm saying, dude, I've completely with this team gone to you're just gonna have to show me some shit and then we'll go from there. You know what I mean? I'm not anticipating or too high up. I wouldn't be surprised though, especially if they keep losing. A lot of these guys that aren't getting in the rotation or had looked good last year were some of the few bright points last year not playing now. Like, why would they stay?
Yeah, I don't want to lose him, but we've got such a crowded running back room, dude. I mean, when Stepp left, that was understandable. I'm shocked more guys didn't leave, you know, especially if you look at this offense and you think, well, it doesn't look like we're going to be doing a whole lot of running. So maybe 2 guys. Dude, Yant got like second most runs, right? Or maybe tied with our freshman. But he got
Allen?
3.
I think AJ Allen had the second.
They both got like 3 rushes. Yeah. 3.
But I don't understand why you don't put Rahmir in when you can't get pushed to run the ball like you're wanting to, and you want to be pass happy. Okay, put Rahmir in and utilize him out of the backfield, throwing the ball and doing dump offs and screens. I know we're kind of going back to what we talked about, but the few times they tried throwing the ball to Grant, it looked good. You know what I mean? Imagine if you got a guy who, again, all this hype and all you're hearing in spring and summer is, well, Ramir's basically a wide receiver. He can line up in the slot. He can do whatever. He's like a Swiss Army knife out there. We use him for everything. Dude didn't get one play.
Yeah.
Like, maybe there's a reason, disciplinary reason, but everything I've heard from that dude is he's like, the coaches love him. Like, he's a a coach's player type dude. He'll do whatever you want. He's quiet. He's not. It doesn't seem like it would be something like that. But I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's so frustrating when there's all this hype. And again, I do kind of buy into it without realizing I bought into it, because I find myself getting mad that we supposedly have these weapons or these other guys at other spots that we don't see. And it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why not try that at least? But then I got to check myself and be like, well, if we were seeing that guy play, we'd hear how good this other guy was that's not playing that we are seeing now. So I don't know, man.
Dude, another thing I really think, and it's not just me, it's not like I'm some genius that figured this out. Everybody thinks this. Vokalek going out hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked studly, dude. He looked, I don't want to sound like I'm drunk on Kool-Aid again, but he looks like an NFL tight end, damn it. He looks like he's got, all the tools to go to the next level. And him and Casey, dude, that's his security blanket. Not just because it's a tight end. I think even if he was a receiver, he just likes him. They seem to just get each other. I don't know if they've been working more together after practice or something like that, but it really looks like it. Losing him killed us, dude. Our offense, our passing offense went to shit, I think, when he went out. Have you heard any news? Has anyone in the chat heard anything about Vokalek?
No, but they're so tight-lipped on injuries. He could be back next week, or he could be gone for the season. You're gonna hear the same.
You're never gonna know. And does anyone know about Fedoni? Are we getting Fedoni back this year? Because, dude, tell everybody what you told me last night about our backup. We won't go with names here, but our tight end that came in and alligator armed.
No, that was Martin that did the alligator arm, I think. But I don't know, man. But
Borkature didn't look, dude,
like what we heard about.
We saw Borkature look good last year, so it's not like I've never seen Borkature do things. But dog, he looked. But
like, where's Brewington? Like, we've got guys.
Where the fuck is Brewington?
It's just at that point in the game, I felt like the adjustments that they had made compared to the lack of adjustments we'd made, Casey Thompson just wasn't the same. I thought he still did decent. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think those interceptions were completely his fault. They weren't the most accurate balls, but it's not like he just threw them right in the guy's breadbasket or completely whatever. I mean, that's all debatable, but it just, that changed like the whole, I don't know, outlook of what our offense was trying to do. Like picking and choosing, we're going to throw to the tight end on this play. We're going to look to do things this way, and it was just like rush, like hurry up and get the ball out of your hands and try to get it to somewhere as open as you can find as quick as you can, because you don't have much time.
Crystal says she saw my son's channel. Where am I from? Phoenix to Nebraska. I grew up in Omaha until I was 17, and my family moved to Texas. And I live in Austin with my wife, and I lived in Phoenix for a few years, and that's when I fell in love with the Suns and picked them as my team back when they were losers. I didn't bandwagon. This is 2008, people. Chris Hartman says you can win with Thompson, but he won't win you games. Dude, we watched every snap of Casey Thompson last season at Texas. There's a good video on that on YouTube if you guys want to see what he's made of. We have a little bit of tape on him in a Husker jersey now, but it seemed like he always started out games hot, gangbusters, but fizzled off, whether it was because he took shots. And I'm not saying he ain't tough, because I've seen him take some serious shots and just pop back up and keep it moving and come back in after taking shots where you think, how is this dude still in the game? And he comes back in and plays great. So he's very tough, like Martinez. I love that. But I did see a lot of fizzling towards the end of games. It seems like they're going to win. And then remember there was that one game we were watching and I was like, damn, bro, he beat them. And there was one drive left and you're like, no, there's you're like, they didn't win this. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's like 30 seconds, So,
well, I mean, also the lines in the Big Ten are different than the lines in the Big 12.
Great point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not getting a speed guy that's coming from the outside, like Nebraska's basically built now. You're not Garrett Nelson or O'Shawn or Farmer or whoever coming off or Caleb Tanner coming off the edge or getting through a gap, and you got to run away from that guy. It's like the pocket collapses on you, and it's large humans grabbing you and taking you down. You know what I mean? Like, that's not to say everybody in the Big 12 is small. I'm just saying it's different. So I don't know, man. I don't know how much of that is legit to the players, like makes a difference to the players. Like, dude, it's football. I don't give a shit. Guy comes in or a guy doesn't get in. I don't know how much of that is true or not, but but when we were watching his snaps, that happened. That happened fairly often in some of those games where he'd start off looking nice and crisp, and then all of a sudden you see him ball sail and get picked off, or he's making bad choices or decisions. I didn't think that was too much the case yesterday, man. I thought it was more their defense making good plays, forcing us into bad looks, bad decisions.
Anything else you can think of, man, that needs to be discussed? Anything else you had written down? Because I just pretty much asked you all the questions, but
was there anybody on defense that you thought was good,
stood out,
that you liked?
I saw Tommy Hill get a nice pass breakup, but
I felt
Feast looked good at first, and then you pointed out he just fizzled.
I don't know if he fizzled, but like the one, if he lost his balance, and that's why he dove at his legs and got, kind of jump cut on, and it didn't work. But I felt like it was hard to kind of judge the DBs because they had to come up so much and pick up, where that second level should have been on passes, or because there was missed tackles, or guys were just getting completely thrown off the D line and they're chasing running backs. But I thought that was tough. I still think Reimer, man. Reimer to me is so good.
Yeah, Reimer is sick. Okay, I don't know why I didn't say that immediately. Reimer looked great. Couple of people here. Now, Buford definitely got juked out of his shoes a couple of times, but I did see him make some pretty good tackles when no one else would. If the tackles that if he didn't make, it could have broke for touchdowns, big touchdowns. Buford.
Okay.
Right? At safety?
Mm-hmm.
Did you not see that?
Yeah, there was a mixed bag. Yeah, I mean, he had some missed tackles, but again, I felt like he was constantly having to cover a lot of ground.
Damn it, we were not gonna bring up players in a negative light, and now I feel like
it's
I'm
not
doing
negative.
that.
I mean,
well,
just
not him. Not him.
Ripping on him.
Not him. I'm thinking about someone else that I wanted to bring up. Maybe we could bring up a number. Somewhere in his jersey, there's a 4 and a 2, and he plays on the defense. Bruh. I felt like I was watching an NFL player who stayed in the league 1 year too long.
He's way better than that.
Way better.
Way better than that.
But, dude, I've never seen him look that slow. Just slow.
And I don't know, going back, I have to go back and maybe watch the position stuff more. If things were happening on the line where he was having to go places he wasn't set, wasn't schemed for, or if he was making different reads in the backfield, letting his eyes take him off of where he needed to be. I don't know, but the dude's really good. He's way better than that. So that was odd.
What'd you think of Newsome?
I mean, again, I kind of feel the same way with everybody in the secondary. I don't feel like anybody did horrible, but I feel like they had to do a lot. They had a lot of ground to cover very often because of what was going on up front.
How about the punting, man? I know it's kind of obscure, but I liked the punter. I felt safe, felt calm.
How did you feel?
No shanks. We
haven't talked about this. How did you feel about the new kickers, especially the onside kick game? How do you feel about that?
Well, let's go to that field goal, that 56-yard field goal. I'm shocked they even let him try it because we used to not ever. Not. You're not?
If you're that happy with. Remember the one press conference we saw where he's like laughing, almost
he was
like
giddy.
He's talking about his special team, and we've heard about how good these guys coming in are and stuff like that. Now you got an opportunity right there, to show it, to utilize it. Like, I'm not surprised at all they tried that.
John says he had multiple surgeries in the offseason, may have lost a step. 42.
Or still getting back, or still trying to.
And that's cool. That's fine.
That makes a lot of sense.
But can we not do that again, though? Can we wait until he's regained the step to have him starting and playing the full amount of snaps? Is there not anyone? I mean, that's just me, bro. I mean, you know, I'm sorry. It was bad. And if he's coming back from injuries, it's great. I get it. You know, more power to you. I hope you come back just as good as you were before. But if that's the product on the field, come on. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Ted Hiker says, and Northwestern lineman was manhandling Nelson. Yeah. So that just goes to show how good. That dude is going to be manhandling professionals next year. He might get tossed a little bit here and there if he comes up against, you know, when he goes up against the best of the best. But that left tackle really was better than advertised. And he was advertised as the best lineman in
I don't know that he was better than advertised. He just looked like that's a situation where a player looked like all the hype we've heard about.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe what this dude's doing. I was just like, shit, he's legit.
I'm just trying to read through the stats here so we can kind of, you know, answer some questions or just mention anything. Paul Thomas just says, is Scott Frost a good coach? I think good is a very
subjective.
Well, I just think good is a really like
broad.
Nice way of putting it. Like that's the nicest word I could use right now for him is that he's good, but I don't even know if I can use the word good. Yeah, I don't know, man. Do you got anything else? Anything you want to really talk about? Well, I mean, smashing success. We appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. Might do this again next Sunday. Maybe we do it Saturday after the game. We're still trying to figure out how we want to go about that. Before you guys leave, though, please hit the like on your way out. And stay tuned for our next video, which should be coming up soon. Gary, where can they find you on Twitter, Gary?
I don't know. Which one's Twitter? Is that the one with the F or the one with the bird?
We're dealing with a boomer here, folks. You'll have to forgive us. We will see you guys soon. Until then.